So Black and White Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Sir Colin Campbell and Gary A. McGowan.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It's your host, Sir Colin Campbell, here with Gary A. McGowan. You're tuned inside the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast. We have a special guest in the building here today, all the way from Toronto, the Toronto condo guru, Todor. Pretty soon you're going to find out why he's sitting here in the hot seat. Before we get in to hear from this guru, here's a word from one of our sponsors.
This is Dion Begg from Butler Mortgage. For the past 15 years, I've helped families answer the big three financial questions. How do I pay off my home faster, pay for my kids' education, and build wealth for retirement? We answer these questions through helping plan and fund significant investment property portfolios. If you're a first-time buyer or buying your first or 10th investment property, please reach out for a free consultation so we can ensure you build the best portfolio possible. Search for mortgagesbydion.com or call me at 800-518-1221.
Mr. Dion Begg, thank you as always. It's so great that he shows up every week for the podcast,
I love
right?
it.
Oh, good. Todor, my man, how are you?
I'm very good, Gary. How are you?
I am awesome. So glad that you're here. Todor is one of those guys that I've known for 12, 13 years perhaps, and I always admire what you do. You're always kind of setting the bar and raising the bar, setting the bar and raising the bar, everything from, and we'll talk about all your background a little bit, from your early beginnings to the buying investment properties and how it led you on the path that you are today. But let me read the little bio that I have for Todor, and then we'll get into Todor's story and why he deserves to sit in that hot seat. Todor has been investing in real estate for over 15 years and acts as a realtor for investors that invest in the Toronto condo market. Todor's real estate portfolio has included single-family homes, multi-family homes, condos, and more. Todor's experience has allowed him to gain much success and first-hand knowledge of renovations, tenants, and financing, and everything that goes around with that. Todor, pleasure to have you here. Talk to me a little bit about your background, the Todor story in 2 minutes. Who's Todor in 2 minutes?
Who's Todor? Because every guest that we've had here before, we've had a first name and a last name. And this is the first guest who goes by just one name, Todor.
Just Todor.
Share, right? Yeah, so
I like that. I like that. Yeah, exactly.
Share. You equated him to Share?
Well,
wow, that's amazing. That might be the first fastest horns we've ever had on the show.
Yeah, there's not that many of us here, right? Well, I grew up in Bulgaria. Bulgaria at that time was a communist country. Graduated from music high school, so classically trained musician. And back in those, right?
What? I don't think I've ever known that.
I've never heard that before.
Not many people have.
Wow.
Right.
Are you telling lies now? Like, what?
No. I'm going back. But
wow, cool.
We had a saying back in those days. It's like, if you're a musician, then you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
Because in those days, like, we would fix cars and we would work in restaurants. We would just do anything. Like, a musician needs to do more than just play an instrument, but basically you learn to do other things as well. And came to Canada when I was very young, 22, 23 years old, with, very many people say it's like, oh, this is a very unique story. I don't see it as a unique story. I see it as a story of almost every immigrant that I've come across from those times. Like, you come here with dreams, no money, no language, no education that is immediately transferable to the reality here. So you start from scratch. Like, you're ready to do just about anything, and just about anything I did is like, my first job was in a car wash in Montreal, and then I played on the streets of Montreal, played saxophone in Montreal, played saxophone in Ottawa.
Seriously, the man was a busker.
Are you kidding me? What?
Holy moly, I did not know this.
And like when you say in your intro, like, I keep on raising the bar, I don't see it that way. I just see it as chasing rabbits.
Well, you're being humble. You're being humble.
I'm a hunter by inclination, so I chase things. So I see an opportunity, I chase it, I play with it a little bit, and then a few years go by, and I'm like, okay, what else can I do? What else can really get me excited up in the morning, and I can go after that. So
Cool.
that's how it's been.
Here's a little name from the past. Remember this man, Adam Hoffman?
Wow.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
name from the
we
past.
were supposed to get for a coffee with Adam.
There
We
you go,
should- we
Adam.
should
Nice
do
to
that.
have you on the podcast, buddy. So, meeting people like Adam and Colin and myself, like you don't just do that. You don't come to Canada and just do that. So what kind of
Right.
led you into buying your first investment property, and how did you end up owning your first investment property?
Funny thing, my wife at the time was with a baby stroller, pushing the baby stroller on the street. Comes home and says, "Well, there's this house power of sale," and I had no job, no money, but my great grandfather had a very large real estate portfolio that was taken by the communists. So when I grew up, we had nothing. But I was always fascinated by having real estate and by buying real estate. So this opportunity came along. She says it's a power of sale. It must be a good price. So I called my friend agent. He looked into it. We put a deposit on my credit card.
The good old days.
Richmond and Parliament in Toronto. That must have been 24, 25 years ago. And bought the place, gutted it, cleaned it up, renovated it, turned it into a duplex, rented it for a few years, and after a couple of years, I didn't get rich, so I'm sitting with all of the tenant issues and one of the credit card payments and the constant phone calls from the tenants, and I'm like, this didn't get me anywhere. So this real estate doesn't work. So I sold it. And I sold it, made a little bit of money on the sale, not much. And 6 months later is when the Toronto market started to climb.
Is that right?
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
Whoa.
Timing's everything.
And this property right now is sitting as an empty parking lot. Since that time, it was a six in-row houses.
Yeah.
So, a few years after I sold, they demolished them, paved it. So it's not an empty, but it's a parking lot. And I think there's a condo project for that property right now. And guess who's buying a condo in that place?
Well, it has to be you.
I'm buying a condo then, because this is where it started.
Fool
So
me
I'm-
once, shame on you.
I'm
Fool me
buying a
twice,
condo
shame on
in that
yes.
place. I don't care how much it's gonna cost me, but I'm buying a condo. It's a landmark for me.
So now that was your first investment property, and based on your bio, you've done a lot of investment properties as well. How did you find your niche in condos, and what should our viewers be listening for when they're looking at investing in condos?
Well, since buying this property, I bought a number of other properties, and I've only been licensed real estate agents for, not even 6 years now. Like you guys, you're real estate agents. So you know how we're always looking at the market, and I'm thinking it's like, where can I provide value? So that was like the guiding principle for myself, always. So from the very first day when I got my license, I started with what I know. And what I know was investment, townhomes and houses, investment properties in Hamilton. Buy the old tired Hamilton house, renovate it, maybe fix the basement, split it into a couple of units, rent them out, that kind of a thing, right? So after a while, I kind of got tired of that, going into those like older homes.
Yes.
It didn't appeal to me anymore. And I said, what else can I do? And this is when I discovered, funny, because, life always gives you clues, right? And you just have to listen. So at that time, I had a renovations company in Hamilton. I was not an agent. I was just basically renovating, and we had a property management company and renovations company. So I had a renovations company, and somebody from Rain calls me up and he says, "Do you do roofs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we do roofs." We've never done roofs, but I said, "Okay, I'll find."
But we do now.
I'll find people for roofs, right? And she says, "But can you come to St. Catharines?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can come to St. Catharines." She goes like, "I have a student rental with St. Catharines, and the roof is leaking. The tenants are complaining. Can you come and help? Can you be there on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock?" And I said, "Sure." So I meet my main renovations guy in front of the house. That person comes in. We knock on the door. Students are just waking up. and they started apologizing because the house is a mess. They had a big party last night.
As
So
usual.
we walk into the house, and I'm like, what were these people apologizing for? The house was beautiful.
Wow.
Wow.
You know, the occasional wine bottle, beer
Yeah,
bottle
yeah.
here and there, but it's not the mess that most people would imagine when you say students in a student house had a party last night, right?
Yeah.
And a little light bulb goes into my head. I'm like, I like this. How much is this house? How much are these students paying you in rent? How many students do you have? My brain is starting to calculate, and I'm thinking like, oh, so I don't have to
Opportunity.
only invest for some time in the future when my kids will enjoy the fruits of my labor. I can actually invest and make money for me now. And I'm like, okay, I like my kids, but I also
You gotta
like to
take
live
care of
too,
you,
right?
yes. Yeah.
And in that moment, the decision was made to basically sell the properties we had in Hamilton and move everything into student rentals, and that's what I did. So the student rentals was the next exciting thing that excited me because of cash flow and because of, you know, it was just like new, a lot of learning curve, very steep learning curve, and then around that time I got my license, so I started bringing all my clients to St. Catharines, and very quickly the people of St. Catharines didn't like me anymore because they says like, you're bringing all these foreigners from Toronto buying our real estate and then causing the price
This
to
is
go up again.
Yes, yes.
You know, we can't wait for you people to go back home so we can buy our real estate at the prices that we're used to.
Wow.
Right? So and I did this for a couple of years, 2-3 years, and then you know, I got tired from the commute to St. Catharines back and forth, and eventually I met with a guy who was doing condos downtown, and at that time I'm like, I have to apologize for this agent because at the time I said, what a loser, right? And then
doing condos.
look at me 6 months later, I do nothing but condos, and I love it. So, you know, life is kind of funny that way. It goes up and down, and
Yes, and-
you see some things that don't make sense to you, but then a couple of years go by and they make complete sense.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I got to where I am today, you know, doing nothing but condos and loving it.
Just like that, eh? Just like that.
Yeah.
But it's not just like that. I
No,
mean, the story
no.
is just like that.
Right.
And so that's actually a big transition because I know a lot of our listeners would love to invest in student rentals. A lot of our listeners would love to invest in condos.
Right.
Two different paths.
Yeah.
Right. But what helped with some of that transition going from student rentals to condos? Like, do you remember like what that transition was like for you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're all good investment vehicles, and I always tell people, it's like, don't try to figure out what you want to do based on, you know, watching me talk or having your experience. Just do anything, and eventually you will find what you really like, and you will do more of that. But you have to start somewhere, and you will never start at the perfect place. Why? Because the perfect place doesn't exist. You get to create it. You get to create it based on your experience and based on, you know, walking the path, your own path. So if you want to buy houses and renovate them in Hamilton, in Durham, out here, all the power to you. You
Yeah.
know, I think that this is great. If you want to do student rentals, there's great cash flow. Student rentals are actually, when you buy the right property at the right place, they're surprisingly easy to manage. And they're very safe and they're very good. Why? Because who goes to universities? Mostly good kids. Good kids come from good
Good
families.
Yes.
They pay rent and they go there to study. They don't go to university to trash houses, right? So we have to get this out of our heads that, you know, student rentals, oh my God, they're going to trash the place. They don't. They don't.
You said some really neat things in there. I want to digest some of that. You said, you know, you create your own path and follow your own path. But there's people in front of us that have paved that path a little bit. So who are some of those people that you not to say you follow, but you look up to, or you listen to their advice, or so forth?
Right. So the first person that really got me thinking about real estate to this day, it's an example, it's an idea, it's an ideal, is my great grandfather, a guy that I've never met. He passed away when I was 6 months old. He was a very wealthy, educated person back home. Like I said, everything that he was able to make and accumulate in his life was later taken by the communists. So that's all gone. But he kind of like thinking about that, like it sparked the idea of like, what is it to really own real estate? Have and build like your little empire. Commercial units and residential units and houses is like, and it just breaks you through that mold of I bought a house, I'm paying off my mortgage. And then when I pay off my mortgage, it's going to coincide with me retiring and life is good. And the question is like, why do you have to have only one house?
Yeah.
Right? When you start yourself that question, it's like, oh, what do you mean? I can have two houses? Of course you can have two houses. You can have 5. Why stop at 5? Why not have 7, 15 houses?
Yes.
And it's like people are like, holy, like what is going on here? Right? Yeah, you see people like that everywhere and they're just like us. Right? They didn't come with more money. They didn't come with more education. They didn't, it's just like they approach the process and the thinking about the process from a little bit of a different angle.
Right,
Why
right.
not?
Yes.
And then once you start doing that, it's gonna take you where it takes you, or where you take it to. And I don't know what's gonna work for you, like not you in particular. You know what you're doing, but for people, you may end up buying 15, 20, 25, 50 houses. There's a guy in St. Catharines, so my great grandfather was the first one, and then obviously we joined Rain, and that had a huge effect on me and a lot of other people, because that was the time when we can go to Hamilton and pick up properties with 5% down. So people were buying them with 0% down, and the benefit to the listeners today, and this is huge, we were still thinking about it.
Yep.
We were still analyzing it.
Yeah.
We were still sitting and watching it go by and not taking
Action.
taking the fullest action that you could have taken. Like I should have bought 50 houses, not 5.
Well,
Because it was possible. It was possible for us to do that.
yeah, from a financing and all
Right.
of that position.
And money was so cheap back then. It was still cheap. The regulations to borrow money wasn't that stringent.
Houses
Like
were a
you were
one thing.
you put your first home on your credit card. Right?
Houses, right? And I can't remember what I bought it for, but it must have been much less than $100,000, because even credit card limits in those times were $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, right? Like you didn't have the credit card limits that we have
That we
today.
have now, yes.
But in Hamilton, I remember it a little bit more, because that was only 12, 13 years ago. Houses were $110,000,
Yeah.
and you can buy it with 5% down. And we were thinking about it.
Yeah. The ROI on that now would just be
Crazy,
through the roof.
crazy,
yeah,
right?
Through the roof.
I mean, those days are gone, but now, and you can't do that anymore. But guess what? There's always something that you can do in real estate, and that's what I'm discovering.
Yeah.
As prices go up and things change, if you keep on searching, you're gonna find a different way to enter the market and a different way to make and take what is yours.
So over the last 10 years, we've seen prices around the GTA, even though it's flattened or leveled off a little bit in the last couple of years, just skyrockets, right? Just skyrocket. Because it skyrocketed, do you think that has something to do with the popularity of buying condos because of the purchase price?
To have that effect on the residential housing, on the houses?
Well, I guess my point or my question is, why are so many condos being built? Why are so many condos being purchased? And does that have an effect on the purchase price? Because the pricing for most condos, we'll say, is first-time home buyers, that affordability group.
Right.
Is that playing a big role into it, you think?
Well, I'm not a statistician, so I look at the stats, and I kind of make sense to them, but I can never remember them, so I can talk in numbers. I'm more of a picture person, and I'm more on the emotional level and what's happening with us as human beings, and this is what this is where my guiding star is. But when you look at condos, for example, 2 or 3 years ago, I couldn't talk to people about condos because there was like, box in the sky, and it's like, who needs condos? I got this $5,000 square foot house in Vaughan, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
But guess what? 2 years ago, those same people realized that their kids are not going to be able to have that 5,000 square foot
3,000 square foot
home
home.
in Vaughan, right? That
Yeah.
is like $4 million now.
Yeah.
You bought it for $800,000 10 years ago, and now you're sitting at $3-4 million, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do for my kids? What can I do? So these same people that were completely discounting condos are now coming back and saying, oh, I need to buy something for my kids because they're going to be going to university. So a few years ago, condos were the cheaper option to potential home buyers. They couldn't, houses were too expensive for them. They wanted to be closer to downtown, so they were buying condos because they're cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's completely different. Condos are more expensive than houses. So I was thinking about it just like, a couple weeks ago. I said, what happened? So what happened is that condos became a lifestyle choice. Because people are no longer looking at like, do I buy a house? Do I buy a condo? Which one is more expensive? Where can I fit? Now they're thinking, I want to be downtown. It's amazing. Life, restaurants, shows, transportation, jobs, everything is concentrated. I want to be there because it's exciting. I want to be in a condo because it gives me all of these amenities that I don't have in a house. And then when I travel, I don't have to worry about the house. I don't know. Different
So in
things are
terms-
going through their minds. But what I can tell you that there is a lot of condos being sold for over $1 million. And the only way I can explain this is by people want them.
People
Yes.
want them, yeah.
So now, with so many condos being sold, and I think it was 5 years ago, you looked at how many condos were available on the market. You're like, this is crazy. There's no way this is really going to be the next big thing. And now it is. The demographics of people moving into condos or buying condos, what are those that we're seeing?
All over the map.
Really?
Yep, absolutely all over the map. You have, first of all, you know that I don't know what the percentages is, let's say here where we are, Stouffville, Newmarket, but I can tell you, because my daughter was 16 5 years ago, not too long ago, and 1/3 or even bigger percentage of her class did not get driver's licenses. And I know her friends, and they still, to this day, she's 21, don't have driver's licenses.
Because there's transit.
Right. No, because they want to live downtown.
Really?
Yeah, they want to be downtown. They're not going back to Mississauga. They're downtown people. That's where the jobs are, in fashion and technology and finances.
Yeah.
And they don't want to drive. And on top of that, the world is giving you choices not to drive.
Yes.
You have Uber, you have the
Taxis.
self-driving cars now. There's condo buildings that are being built right now downtown with 0 parking spots.
No way.
A whole building, 0 parking spots.
Because most people are not driving
Why?
anymore.
Because the builders are basically telling me, it's like, why do I need to have parking spots when you can call your self-driving taxi while you're on the elevator coming down? By the time you reach ground level, that self-driving capsule, taxi, whatever you want to call it, is going to take you to wherever you want to go, and you can read and you can work and you can do whatever you want while you're being transported.
Wow.
So that's the future that is coming to us faster than we can imagine it, and faster than we can believe that it's coming.
Yes.
People think that it's going to take, forever. No. As you've seen, for those of us that drive downtown, 2-3 years go by and you cannot recognize a neighborhood, an entire
the skyline
neighborhood.
has
Right.
changed so much
Exactly.
in Toronto.
Like if you really want to see what I'm talking about, like go to Regent Park.
Yeah.
because everybody knows about Regent Park.
Sure.
Go see Regent Park.
Let's talk about the skyline, because Todor sent us some pictures of Toronto. Say how long ago? 40 years ago? 50 years? 40 years ago?
It's right on the picture.
Let
I
me
think
pull
it's.
it up here.
Are we pulling up the skyline photos?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Skyline photos. So this is Toronto from only
1998. Yeah,
1998.
1998.
And then this is Toronto. For those that are listening on the podcast, you better start watching. That's what I got to say about this right now. So this is Toronto
2012?
2012. So that's 14 years later.
Yeah.
Yes.
14.
And then
Go back to 1998.
Oh, I think I skipped one on us. Maybe I cheated. Oh no, here we go. There we go. Boom.
Wow.
What a
So
difference.
1998.
14 years.
14 years later, we have buildings everywhere.
Yeah. And now we've got this. Now we've
Wow.
Well, that's not now.
That's
though,
not-
is
This
it
is
correct?
not now, but these are all real buildings that are approved, and they're being built right now.
That's amazing. So,
So that's an actual artist rendering
of all the buildings
of all the
approved
buildings that
currently.
are approved and going to be built in the next 5 years, where they're going to be. So this is, you can pretty much say that this is what the skyline is going to look like 5 years from now.
that's amazing. I know you sent us one of I think it was it Humber River all the way over? Yeah, I didn't put that one into the
Right, the
into
city looking from Humber River. So you have it's a different angle of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So visually for those that are listening on the podcast, just picture Toronto and the CN Tower, the Sky Dome, the BMO building, the Scotiabank building, and that's about it, right?
That was pretty
That's
much
how
it
we
in
started.
1998.
Right.
Yeah.
And fast forward, and just if you know the Toronto area, and especially now, picture Manhattan, like that
Yeah.
skyline
That's
is
how I
just
see it.
incredible, absolutely incredible.
So that's a great time to also explain that a city is like it's almost like a person. Where,
Yeah.
Your biggest growth happens within few years.
Interesting.
That's when you grow in size.
Do you want to
And
use
then-
yours?
And then you don't grow in size for the rest of your life, another 50, 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
From I was traveling. So this is Rome. Back in the let's say 1600s, and you have the old wall guarding the city of Rome, and there were no buildings. They're just the old from Roman time structures, but no buildings at all. And if you flip to the other one,
And before we flip, the story that you like to mention is that Rome that we see there within
Yeah.
the city walls that
Yep.
existed for hundreds and hundreds of years like that.
correct,
Right. Yeah.
for many hundreds of years,
And
it was
when
that
we
was
flip
that was
over
it.
to say newer Rome,
Right, this is the new Rome, like all these 5 to 6 story buildings that you see with all the streets everywhere, minus the historical structures. But the newer stuff was all built within 40 years.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that until I was in Rome, and I was like looking at the signs on all the buildings, 1892, 1895, 1896.
So within a short 45-year span is
Right.
when that growth
All
spurred.
of that was built within 30, 40 years.
so it's kind of what we're seeing here. I mean, this is Manhattan,
This
but
is
if
Manhattan.
we flip back to that
and
Toronto
when you look
image,
at those buildings in
Sorry. Yeah.
right, when you look at all those buildings in Manhattan, you can ask the same question: how long did it take them to build those buildings, and when did they build those buildings? And then that was built in about 30 to 40 years span. Less than 40 years, 25 to 30 years is when they built all of those buildings. And then the cranes move on. This is the way I like to imagine it, because now you drive in Toronto, you see cranes everywhere, right? And it's like
The cranes have moved
sky
from
is full of
Manhattan to
lanes,
Toronto.
and they're here, and then they built what they need to build, and they just move on and go somewhere else.
Interesting. That's pretty cool analogy, because we don't put things into perspective like that. We just think about us,
Yeah.
right? We just think about us. No, that's really cool. And I think it's time.
Is it time?
It's time.
It's that
It's
time.
definitely that time. So my friend, we're gonna do something a little fun with you.
Oh,
And,
what's going on?
We're going to take a pause and come back to this, but we're going to have some fun in the meanwhile.
So this is what we like to ask all of our guests. These are very serious questions.
Okay.
Not at all. And it just gets us to know Todor a little bit better. Okay. A lot of these will be yes or no questions, maybe, maybe not. Favorite season of the year?
Spring.
Spring. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
If they don't know,
Don't know. Nice. First celebrity crush.
oh boy, that was like when I was 19.
Okay.
You
Who's
don't
that?
know. You don't know the person.
Okay.
You don't know the person, but I kissed her.
You kissed
What?
her?
Yes.
Get out of here. Wait, she was real?
This is a real estate show. Let's keep it clear.
Where did we take it from there? Place you most want to travel.
Anywhere with a beach, music, good food, and a
Nice.
good vibe.
Good vibes. That's right. Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable? Oh, he's thinking about it, so he's done it.
Oh my God! No, I don't. I don't know. I constantly think about it because the instinct is there, but it's like, okay, no double dipping. So yeah, let's go with no.
Name one of the 7 dwarfs.
I don't know any of their names.
Man, your kids are not that old. Okay.
I don't think I can come up with a single name.
That's all right.
That's all right. What's your ideal outside temperature?
24.
24. Hot on a beach with good vibes and music. We already learned
Good
that.
drinks.
That's right. Would you rather cake or pie?
Cake.
Favorite movie, Godfather or Star Wars?
Godfather.
Godfather. The next question on here, I shouldn't read, but I'm going to read anyways.
Go for
I
it.
read it, said no. Then
Go for it.
now I'm talking it out loud. Are women complicated?
Don't answer.
No.
Your answer. The answer is next question.
They're different.
They're different.
He's a smart man.
That's right. That's right. What's the fastest speed you've ever driven in a car?
160? 170?
160. All right. Cool. And would you jump
Oh,
from?
no, I'm lying. No. I did.
That was miles.
I did 180.
180.
Okay.
Kilometers.
Boom.
Kilometers, yeah. Last summer.
Would you ever jump from a plane?
I want to. I've always wanted to.
I've not done. You?
It's my intention.
My intention.
Yeah.
There
Yes.
you go. I've not done it either. There you go, my friend. Little fun for us.
Yes.
All right.
Now back to real estate. We learned a little bit about Todor there. So now, and I really like the way you give us that visual and that history of big cities and how they've grown, and now we are pretty much, I don't know if we will say the embryonic stage in Toronto, but we would say our teenager years where we're starting to grow now. Why should I invest in condos right now?
Because when you see the massive change that is already happening, and we're just at probably not the beginning, but we're definitely somewhere in my own personal estimate, we are kind of a halfway of the first half. So we're 1 quarter in. And when you see the vision of the city and you see how okay, here's the thing. Our population is going to double in the next 10, 15, 20 years max. Double. So when you know the population is going to double, when you know that we're no longer building houses, so we're not going to go all the way to Barrie, all the way to Kitchener, all the way to Peterborough, but we're going to stay in those same boundaries that we are currently in, and we're going to be growing up. When you know that, and the old saying that they don't make land anymore, so land is only getting more and more expensive, and you see the prices are going only more and more expensive. When you see that even though everything is already expensive and is still getting bought up, and there's still lack of housing in Toronto, why would you not invest?
Okay. Why
Like
not?
how can you not invest?
Yeah.
Like, what sign are you waiting for? Like, what do you want?
So many people are saying, but it's so expensive in Toronto.
Right. So I can tell you this story. Brand new immigrant. Maybe I was in the country for, I don't know, a couple years. So, we had like our small Bulgarian community. I obviously had friends. So we go to this housewarming party. It's the first Bulgarian new immigrant that bought a house.
That
The
must have
guy
been a
was
big
lucky.
deal.
He was in IT, got a job, got a good salary. The bank gave him money. He bought a house. Greektown, somewhere. Like I can't remember exactly where, Coxwell and something. He paid $95,000.
That was
And
being
I
expensive.
and
at
I
the
kept
time.
on I kept on driving back, and I'm thinking it's like, no, 225, 225, and I keep on driving, and I'm thinking, how can someone pay almost $250,000 for a home? How can it be so expensive? How are you ever going to pay this off? It's all about frame of mind. You know, if you go deep in philosophical, money doesn't exist. Money is energy.
It's energy.
It's
You know,
energy.
Transferred.
$200,000,
Yeah.
$2 million,
Yes.
$200 million.
It's all energy transferred.
It's just numbers, and it's just zeros. Like, you gotta figure that out, and you have to get in the game. So don't that thinking that it's too expensive stop you from buying, because guess what? This is a massive moving train.
Right.
It's not waiting for you. You complaining about the prices that are expensive, it's not going to stop the train. This is happening.
I love the story that you, or the analogy that you used at one of the presentations you did for our investors group. It might have been a year or two ago. And it was along the lines of when foreigners, like, so perhaps people from Europe or China, Asia, wherever that may be, they look at our housing prices and say,
It's cheap.
it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's it's still even cheap after
Yep.
the last few years.
Yep.
And that's the way they look at our market. And if that's the case, what action should we be taking if that's their impression of our market?
Listen to them.
Yeah.
It's like, open your eyes, listen. Because, we take pride that Toronto is growing. We take pride that we're in this beautiful city that is being recognized by the world as one of the best cities to live in. But at the same time, we refuse to see it through the eyes of those that are looking from the outside in. This is ours. It's just like the St. Catharines. Like, once the foreigners stop buying,
Yeah.
prices are going to come down to a level that I like. It's nobody's
That ship
asking me
is
what
gone.
I like.
That ship is gone. And one of my favorite quotes in real estate: "Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait." Right.
That's
and
it.
that is basically what you're saying right now. Buy real estate, buy condos now, and wait to see it appreciate. Now, you had also mentioned foreigners buying in, and that is somewhat of a talk. What are you seeing? Are you seeing a lot of foreigners buy condos, buy up?
I don't. But again, I'm just, as an agent, most of my clients are local. They are agents that deal with a lot of foreign buyers. How successful and what their business looks like, I don't know. What I do know is that a lot of foreigners, when they buy, they don't buy with their Chinese passport or with their Belgian passport. They would buy through an intermediary. So they'll have like a lawyer, or they'll have a friend or a relative. So the transaction will actually go through a Canadian citizen.
it shows
it's
up
not-
local.
Exactly. It shows up local. So the statistics on that are very, there's not a lot
skewed.
of good
It's skewed.
information that you can take. What I do know is that there's a lot of foreign money coming into Canadian real estate, not so many foreign buyers, which is very different.
Tell me more about that. Foreign money coming.
Do you want to hear a story?
I like
Wait,
stories.
is it story time? Oh, wait, I turned this off. Hang on, try that again.
You're the best.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could think of.
Oh my God, like this is probably my, again, going back to changing your frame of mind. So I have this one investor client who calls me up. He says, my daughter is, she just graduated from university. She got a job in Toronto. She's living in Toronto. She'll be looking for a condo. Can you help her? I said, no problem. So, she calls me up. We set up a coffee meeting. I meet up with for coffee with her. 20-some-year-old, girl just came out of university, started working. So she's like, okay, so I do condos. I can help you with condos. Tell me about yourself. She goes like, well, I also have a real estate license. I'm like,
What?
What? Why am I here? Why are we?
Yes.
Exactly? Why are we meeting for? She goes, I also but I don't know anything about condos. And I'm like, okay, so tell me about what you do. She goes, I work for those one of those like big companies that buy and sell large commercial real estate. I'm like, seriously, I'm a real estate guy. I've done a lot of things, but I don't know anything about it. So tell me. She goes, well, my smallest transaction is $40 million. And I'm like, all ears, right? I'm like, okay, forget about your condos. We're going to take care of that.
Tell me how
wanna
I can
know
learn
what
from
you
you.
do,
Yes.
right? She goes like, I'm the analyst for this big company, and basically what we do is we have a list of, about 1,500 names and phone numbers for people around the world. 1,500. I'm not saying any names, but and we buy and sell commercial buildings. And she says the last projects that I worked on was the RBC building in Vancouver, and it was sold for $1.5 billion to one of those Middle Eastern men who paid cash. And the building,
1.5 billion with a
right,
B.
with a B.
And a C
And-
for cash.
Right. And they're not looking to make money, they're looking to park money.
Yes.
And that is what the Canadian public doesn't see because it doesn't get reported anywhere. And these are all phone call deals.
Yeah.
This doesn't get listed on MLS. She says we have 1,500 people in our database, so we make few phone calls and we decide who is the right buyer for that property, because the process, without going into a lot of details, but the process of buying and selling this building is it takes about a year and a half
course.
of document checking and lawyers and all.
Yes.
It's not easy to sell a building for $1.5 billion. A lot of people are involved, but the point is that a lot of people from outside are looking for safety in Canada, and a lot of Canadian and I said, okay, so how come let's say the teachers fund didn't buy that building, or another Canadian? She says they're looking for growth. And I said, so what do? She says they buy buildings in Mumbai.
For growth.
For
For
growth.
growth.
So the
Interesting.
teachers' pension are buying.
Canadian capital, we're talking about, we're
Yes.
not talking about residential, now we're talking about like big money, right? Canadian businesses, pension funds, real estate trusts, when they want to grow the money, multiply the capital, they take their money outside of Canada. So they would go to a more risky markets like Mumbai. But when capital wants to have safety,
They come to
comes
Canada.
to Canada.
Interesting. Wow.
So
I like
You-
the risk part, but I'll take safe
Yeah.
any day on a real estate market.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Interesting.
So foreigners or foreign investors, these millionaires, billionaires who are looking for safety in Canada, what are they seeing that we take for granted?
Again, this is not my market. It's not my expertise. Like I can only go by stories, and I can only kind of like make things up.
Well, don't make anything up.
Right. No, but what I mean
But
by
even
that, like
condo,
I'm
even
not,
buyers that you see that are buying condos here,
that's different.
Okay.
That's different, right? So like why does the big money come here and buy buildings and commercial plaza? I'm not at the negotiating table, so I don't know. But condo buyers are buying for their kids. They're buying for the future. They're buying housing, right? So it's very different than buying a commercial building downtown Toronto.
Yes.
You're buying for your kids. You know that your kids are going to go to university, and they will need a place to stay. You know that the likelihood of them staying downtown after university for at least few years and working at the banks, working at the financial institutions, the tech firms, the likelihood of them staying there for a long time, for at least few years, is very, very high. And you also know that one day, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you may actually decide to sell your house and move downtown. you know, and have this lifestyle of, you know, let's go to shows, let's go to, you know, restaurants, you know, let's live somewhere else for 6 months and just be here for 6 months. And you have this flexibility with when you buy a condo.
Cool.
Multiple uses, multiple exit strategies, and in a growing city, it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple of things here. I want to jump into some of the other images you sent us of the condo developments that are happening downtown and so forth. But a quick shout out to Christine. Great question,
Christine
Colin.
Tonas, our broker of record.
That's
She
right. And
is amazing.
Hi, Christine.
there you go. Thanks to Adam. Hi to Adam and Carl and Peter and Mike and all those that are watching. Lori was watching, and thanks so much. So you were talking earlier about the sky in the box.
Yeah.
And
A box in the sky.
Box in the
Same
sky
thing.
in the box.
Same thing.
Box in the
Yeah.
sky. Yeah. Yours
That's
is
the
more romantic. That's the
Mine's
romantic
more
version.
romantic, yeah. I wish I had like something for that. I don't know
Come
what that
see
is.
the sky in my
yeah,
box.
yeah. Maybe, I don't know what that is. So yeah. Anyways, but condos are changing. They don't look like that anymore, or they're not looking like that. And so one of the images you sent us was this one here, and I'll bring that one up. So tell us a little bit about this project. Maybe I can put this image up. Is it this one? Nope. Nope. Help me out here. It's
yeah,
coming.
This,
It's
well,
coming.
This is part of the other image.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about River and Fifth? Yeah.
Yes.
No.
That one.
Wow, I can't find it. But talk to us about how condos are looking different.
Well, you know, condos are just made not only for, you know, young single people anymore, but they're also made for people.
Yeah,
Well, this
this
is the
one.
one. Right?
Thank you. Yeah.
So they're also made for families. Actually, they're, you know, the primary design objective is to, you know, house people and have them, you know, grow their families within the unit and be in the city. You know, we don't build houses anymore. We just build condos. This is a perfect example of what you're going to see more and more. This is St. Clair and Old Weston. If you drive on St. Clair and Old Weston right now, it's like a very tired, very old part of the city that is not attractive. And what they're building here right now in the next 2 years is this project. It's called Reunion Crossing. Right in the junction, right in the Corso Italia. So you have this condo building at the front that will have commercial units at the bottom. And then in the back, you have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks of stacked townhomes. And with that, you're going to have like a little parquet at the end, and it backs onto a park. So a lot of families are going to live here. Like, this is not designed for, you know, single, you know, individuals, like a little box downtown that they can go to work and come home and sleep. This is designed for people to raise their families. And
Do we have an idea of what the price of something like this might be?
One-bedroom condos are going to start in the high 300s.
Wow.
A one-bedroom and a den are going to be low 400. 2 bedrooms are going to be at mid 500s. And the townhouses are going to be around $600,000.
Okay.
Mid to low $600,000.
Now, for a lot of our clients are asking with, you know, because they like to invest in condos, and they know with Airbnb that's the quick way for them to generate money. How many of these condo buildings are allowing Airbnb so that investors can get their money back even faster?
They are buildings that are already built, and you know the board of one thing they have to realize that once the condo is built and the building is turned over to the owners, the corporation that is established with the new owners, you as an owner have a vote. You can be on the board. You decide how you want to. You decide how you want to run the building. So if the building decides that they're going to allow Airbnb, which I am for. Again, just like student rentals, people's idea about Airbnbs is that some people are going to come and trash the building. They're going to use the elevators. They're going guess what? I travel a lot and I stay at Airbnbs. What do I go to the Airbnb for? Sleep.
Yeah.
A bed.
Yeah.
That's it. I open the door, leave my suitcase, leave. Come back 12, 13, 14 hours later, completely tired and worn out from the day, You know, you crash, you shower, you sleep. The next morning, you pick up your. I don't use the gym. I don't use the swimming pool. I don't use the elevator 7 times a day. I don't. The wear and tear on the building comes from the people that live in the building, not from the Airbnb people.
A good point. Good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Why do people come to Toronto? They come for weddings. They come for trade shows. They come for sightseeing.
The Raptors game.
You know, the Raptors game.
Go Raptors tonight. Yeah.
You know, reunions, business meetings, right? You're busy all day.
Yeah.
You're not there using the elevator.
Yeah.
You don't have time to go to the swimming pool, use amenities. None of that stuff gets touched by Airbnb people. So anyway, there's buildings in. The point is that in a pre-construction, people ask me often, it's like, can I do Airbnb? I'm like, I don't know.
It's up, and the quick answer is up to the board. It's up to the condo board.
Exactly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is a great project you highlighted there, the one in Sinclair.
No, this one is called River and Fifth.
Okay.
That's coming on sale on June 1st. Beautiful building by a Broccolini developer. Broccolini is a big developer out of Montreal. They're moving into Toronto market quite aggressively. They build beautiful buildings. They like upscale buildings. This is just east of Regent Park, and I encourage you to stop thinking about Regent Park as Regent Park, because the old Regent Park is gone. There's something completely new in its place. They kept the name, but the old Regent Park does not exist. So this is on River between Dundas and Queen. You know, basically 1 minute walk to a streetcar on the north side, 1 minute walk to the Queen streetcar that takes you downtown in no time, right on Don Valley Parkway.
Look at that. And look at the skyline that comes
building,
with that.
I know.
And the sunset. You
gorgeous
get that
building.
sunset every night, I hear.
Yeah.
A little shout out
That's
to
it.
Car Mamer for watching and Nathan Graham for watching. This is pretty cool. If you have questions, shoot them into the comments there. We'll see if we can tackle them before we wrap this up at past. But Tora, this is fascinating actually, because there's a lot of people that like the idea of condo investing, but they're not sure how to start. So what advice would you give to somebody that has already made their decision, they just don't know how to start investing in pre-construction condos? What advice do you give them? Right? What's that conversation look like?
You know, once you're able to break through on fears, and once you're able to get the proper perspective, then everything falls into place. And one of the ways that I can probably help people and say, like, look, in the real estate investing world, often people talk about joint ventures. What if I can offer you to joint venture with a builder who's built 15,000 homes,
I like the way you present that.
20,000 units,
Yeah.
and now you are becoming a partner with that builder?
Yeah, that's a great way to present it.
You bring a little bit of money, they bring 70 years of experience, generations of experience. They're not going anywhere,
Yeah.
right? Their reputation is rock solid. They will not ever, jeopardize their reputation because of a building may go a little bit sideways in terms of profits for them. They're not going to do that, right? So you're their partner in the building, along with 500 other people. The building gets built. It's usually pre-sold, 20, 30% below market because they have to,
Yes.
right? You wait for 3-4 years, people move in, and then you decide what do you want to do with your life. Do you want to keep it? Do you want to sell it? Are your kids going to move in? Are you going to rent it out? And it just make those small decisions. They're not big decisions. It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Now, a question, because a lot of people, I'm sure, might be asking the question, and let's answer this for them. For those who might be listening there, they're not sure of typical down payment structures, because we know for a typical residential home, you're looking, avoid CMHC, you're looking at 10%, 20%, and so on. What are some of the structure payments that a typical builder is asking? I know every builder is totally different, but a typical
is within 15 to 20%.
Okay.
15% of the deposits broken into 3-5% installments, extended, spread out over, let's say, 450 up to 750 days.
Oh, so
you have
you have 3 years to
right. So you have 5% in the first 30 days.
yeah.
another 5% in, let's say, 90 days to 6 months,
Yeah.
another 5% a year, year and a half, 2 years from now,
Yeah.
and then 5% on occupancy,
And every time we're saying 5%, we're saying 5% of the balance, the remaining balance or the total?
the total.
Okay.
Right. You give them post-dated checks.
Okay.
So let's say you buy something for, let's say, $500,000. I can't make the numbers now, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. 5. Now with
25. But it
25,
would be like 25,
25,
yeah,
25.
25.
So 75,000 you're paying on a $500,000 property. Now for potential buyers who are concerned with, yes, this building is going to be completed in 2022. I don't know what my financial situation will be like from now in 2022. Will I be approved? What are you telling those people?
Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. It is an investment. There is a certain amount of risk, obviously. It's not like a risk-free, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Nothing in life is guaranteed. I don't know what your situation is going to be 5 years from now, but what I do know is that, when you buy with a builder that has great reputation, when you buy in a location that you like and you believe in that location, when you buy at the first price, when the price is at the lowest, chances are then 2 years from now or 3 years from now, if your life changes and you need to do something, you should be able to sell this to someone else. And if you don't make a profit, at the very least, you can sell it at cost and get your money out.
Okay.
Right.
like
I don't recommend this as a strategy. It's called the assignments. I don't recommend it. I don't think that it's speculation. I know that people are buying it and the thing is like price is going to go up. A year and a half from now, I'm just going to flip my contract and make 50, 60, 70K. And then, yes, I've seen it. Yes. Do my clients do it? Yes, they make great money like that, but it is a speculation. It's a little bit
Speculation, yeah.
more. It's a little bit more advanced game.
Yeah. And I always remind people that you can assign this contract, but don't forget, or maybe you're not aware of the fact that the spread that you make in the middle is HST applicable.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden, if you think you're making 50,000, you're not. You're making
Yes.
that minus HST and some of the other assignment
Yep.
fees and everything like that.
There's all kinds of accounting. Yeah.
Yeah.
you're
But
right.
not all builders are
interesting.
allowing assignment, correct?
From what I've seen, most of them are, but like I said, like they don't promote it because, look, builders want to build.
Yeah.
Here's a great comment by Christine. Let me throw this onto the screen here. You can always check a builder's reputation by checking their builder's Terion
That's
claims.
fantastic.
Right? Thanks,
yeah.
Christine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Fantastic input. Yeah.
Now, I know we're going to be wrapping up in 2-3 minutes. What are some of your favorite projects right now? I know it's on the spot, but some of your projects that you love, you would invest in personally. Give our clients some inside scoop.
Well, the favorite projects are always the ones that I currently work on because there's
Good answer.
no, but
No, I
in
get you.
reality, there's nothing else,
Yeah.
right? What I had like last month
Yes.
is no longer available, and what I'm gonna have next month is unknown.
Yes.
It's in the future, but what I have now is what it is, and and that's another reason. It's like good projects go fast. So Treti on Wilson subway station has few units left. Great building, right next to the subway. Great prices. Charisma in Vaughan is a good project.
Yes.
Vaughan is growing incredible right now. So that's going to do really, really well. I know that building 1 and 2 already made money, so building 3 and 4 will definitely make money. River and Fifth, just starting in June, incredible location, great builder, a great marketing company. That's gonna do really, really well. What else do we have? Oh, we have Reunion, and Reunion is a mid-rise. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but mid-rise is changing the way neighborhoods look. Neighborhoods that are not in the downtown core, but like St. Clair and Old Weston, that's a really good project as well. by
Okay.
very, very strong
I wanted to
builders.
make this point, and forgive me for not mentioning it a lot sooner. For our listeners, Cullen and I have access to these projects.
Yep.
However, it's like us trying to push the door open where you are already in the door talking with the sales managers. Like the access that Todor has is far more reaching than our access. We sell our 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 units a year. You're selling your 30 and 50 units a year with each builder. That's how you get this great access. That's why people need to be connecting with you.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
correct. Yeah.
And you know, that's one of the reasons why I like this opportunity for putting you on the podcast, because you do have those face-to-face conversations with all those
all
sales
the
managers,
builders,
the directors, the builders, and you know what's coming, you know what's good to look at, and so forth. I know there's a neat project that you brought to our attention up in Newmarket, for instance, the Davis,
Yeah.
and you told me, and I didn't believe this, it's the first brand new condo project in over 30 years in that area.
Right. Yeah.
And I know we don't have all the info for that, but that's some of the information that you're going to get first, right?
Exactly, and it just goes to show you how the condo buildings are now popping up everywhere. It's like Newmarket, seriously, condo building in Newmarket? Yep.
So
it's
now,
coming.
for that listener out there who would like to get more information on, let's say, the Davis project or any of the projects that you've discussed, how can they get in touch?
Well, whatever I get for the Davis, I'm going to share with you guys right away, and then you can send it out to your network, and
Okay.
I'm happy to share.
Awesome.
This is my view and your view as well, is that the pie just grows and grows.
Yes, yes.
Right, and it's like the more you give, is the more you get.
Yes, of course.
And I don't mind sharing at all, because
All right.
it's the
So
only
you
way.
heard this on the show. All of the VIP access that Todor will have access to. Reach out to us. You could reach out directly to Todor as well. How can they get in contact with you? Website, email address, telephone number.
Website is Inside Condo Access, insidecondoaccess.com. That's right.
Yeah.
My email is Todor, Todor, at Inside Condo Access. Phone number, should I give it? Yeah.
All up to you.
Yeah, no,
Anyways,
Yeah, okay.
I hear you. The phone number, you can get Todor's contact information
Yeah, just
from the
Google my
website.
name, I
Yeah,
always
he
say
comes up.
Google
There's
my
only
name.
one Todor.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
it.
Did we even mention your last name? We're not going to.
No, it's share. It's share. Guys, you
like The
heard
Rock.
it here. Yeah,
This is
the
my
Todor.
my new brand.
Yeah,
There we
the
go.
Todor.
Okay,
Forget the
Todor.
Rock. We got the Todor.
guys, it was a pleasure hanging out with you.
so fun.
We're going to be signing off here. Again, have a fantastic day. You're tuned in to, and we are signing out the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast.
There we
Take
are.
care,
These two guys are the best.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hang on, one thing here. Don't forget, you can always get us connected or connect to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, the World Wide Web. You could probably find us here in Stouffville on every other Tuesday as well. Anyways, talk to you real soon. Bye for now.
This is Dion Begg from Butler Mortgage. For the past 15 years, I've helped families answer the big 3 financial questions. How do I pay off my home faster, pay for my kids' education, and build wealth for retirement? We answer these questions through helping plan and fund significant investment property portfolios. If you're a first-time buyer or buying your first or 10th investment property, please reach out for a free consultation so we can ensure you build the best portfolio possible. Search for mortgagesbydion.com or call me at 800-518-1221.